Chowda. Well, it finally arrived. 23 years after its original release, Silent Hill 2 got the remake treatment we've all been waiting for. I personally am a huge fan, borderlining the obsessive when it comes to anything Silent Hill. The game just resonated with me in a very real and emotional way, especially Silent Hill 2. But did the remake capture the essence of what made the original so good? The answer is no. No, it didn't. Not even close. That's not to say it wasn't a good game by today's standards. It just wasn't the raw and emotional mindfuck that the original was. In this video, I'll be giving my full and unfiltered thoughts, criticisms, and analysis of Silent Hill 2 Remake, as well as the things I did enjoy. Like I said, it wasn't all bad. So before you fire up your angry little digits on your keyboard, hear me out. And please, for the love of Dahlia Gillespie, please watch the whole damn video. We start the game with our old friend Leon S. Kennedy, James Sunderland, in the bathroom, peering at his hands and gazing into the mirror at his perfectly smooth and youthful face. Already, this is a problem. James Sunderland is a 29-year-old man. The guy is pushing 30. In the original, you felt that, even with the now outdated graphics. This James looks like he spends his weekends playing beer pong with the fellas from college. Now I get that people didn't like the aged and rugged look to his face from the original trailer, but that was what James should have looked like. This James is literally a copy and paste of Leon from Resident Evil that was tweaked just enough to avoid a lawsuit from Capcom. So at this point, I'm already giving this game the side eye, but I push on in hopes of something greater. Onto the cemetery! We meet up with Angela, who also looks much younger than her previous character model. Now I can't be that upset with this. Angela was actually only supposed to be 19 in the original game, but they made her appear as if she was in her mid-20s, like a hard 25. The new Angela fits more with her original description, though the older character from the previous game made her seem even more unhinged because right off the bat, you're taken aback by her referring to her mother as Mama. The new game still gives off that weird vibe, but it just doesn't land as hard. Yet. We will actually be getting more into Angela as this review goes on. The streets of Silent Hill. Now I can talk shit all day about the things done wrong, but this town was done beautifully. As someone who was 18 when the original Silent Hill 2 was released and played it on day one, over and over again, mind you, it was a dream to see the game brought to life like this. But this brings us to our first encounter with the lying figure. In the original, we get a glorious cheek shot of the lying figure as it stretches and positions itself to cause James some pain. This was a great introduction because you got to see its full twisted body and you weren't sure what you were in for. In the new game, the room is so dark that you can't get a good look at the details in the lying figure, which are actually really important. For those of you who are familiar with Silent Hill, the monsters are a visual representation of things going on in your character's mind. The lying figure represents James's feelings of being trapped and sexually frustrated. You don't really get to appreciate that because in this game, the monsters just pound the absolute living hell out of you. You are so busy trying to fight back or get away that you can't take it all in. This took a lot away from the experience. I began playing on standard and was getting nailed left and right. I couldn't explore and experience things because it was just a non-stop assault. After bumping the combat down to light, it was a bit better, but was still kind of over the top. Anyways, the monsters aren't slow anymore. In fact, they're fast as fuck. Especially the mannequins, but we'll get to those. So now it's time to get to the Woodside Apartments. After getting the key and entering, the feel is already different. There are a lot more monsters, and now the mannequins don't stand and just wait for you. No, they will hunt you down and beat your face in with their stumps relentlessly. They even have evolved to where they crawl on the walls and ceilings like spiders, which I found odd, but we witnessed this later on in the game. In the original game, the monsters were not the focus of the horror. It was the environment and the unknown. This game takes that away completely and is highly focused on the monsters in combat. which would have been acceptable if the combat wasn't janky. I had a mannequin glitch across the room and latch onto me. After beating it to death with my trusty old board with a nail in it, it died for about 20 seconds before it decided to stand up and live again. I repeatedly beat the thing to death. It'd die and repeat the process. It's all the...
Wow. It lives?
I killed this thing already.
Yeah,
All the
you
doors
did.
that were open in the original... Yeah, see, I need to go to another wardrobe. And that's where I'm trying to head. All of the doors that were open in the original have keys or locks on them now.
Damn.
What's happening?
Just go. Fuck it. This might be a glitch.
Yeah, see, they gotta fix some shit. Yeah, he's glitched!
Wow,
Look at that!
that's awesome!
It's glitched out!
It's broken! You broke that bitch in half! That bitch is bent over backwards!
Well, all bitches bend over backwards for James. We meet Laura, who, true to her previous self, stomps our fingers like an unwanted cigarette. Original Laura was unlikable, and you just wanted to boot her down those apartment stairs. But the new Laura is so cute and so sweet, even in her insults, that I don't feel that way at all, and I wanted to. If some kid stepped on my fingers, I'd have some choice words for her, but James has barely any reaction. She squishes the shit out of his trigger finger, and he brushes it off like someone cut him in line at the grocery store. But he had the day off of work anyways, so he wasn't in a rush. But again, I push on, because my absolute favorite Pyramid Head scenes are on the way. Right? Right? If you haven't figured where this is going, I'll tell you. They removed the scenes. Severely toning them down for what reason? I'm not sure. When you first encounter Pyramid Head in the kitchen in the original, he's forcefully doing the deed with a pair of mannequins as they violently struggle to free themselves from his grasp. Then James will hide in the closet and witness Pyramid Head up close for the first time. Pyramid Head, covered in what looks like old blood, slowly dragging a now defeated mannequin across the floor towards the closet, making unearthly movements and sounds, almost as if he smells you in there. You feel scared in the original because you know you're going to have to go up against this thing. The new scene? You get a very small hint of what's going on in the now darkened kitchen, and they decided to make Pyramid Head look like he's dabbing and dodging bullets like Neo from The Matrix. There's a long stare-off to the point it was actually funny before James starts shooting. This was already a very bad sign of things to come for our old friend Pyramid Head. Surely they'd still put in the scene where he's eating ass, right? As I pondered this and made my way through the apartments and solving puzzles, James finally gets to meet Eddie, which, what do you know? They removed his plumber's crack. Why? Now, what reason could they have had for this? Are you starting to see a pattern here? If not, you will. So right off the bat, we just feel bad for Eddie. He's not goofy like he was in the original. He's not the comedic relief. No, we don't get that. We just get sad. I wanted to help Eddie in some of these moments because some of us have been Eddie. The world is filled with people who get joy out of making fun of and hurting others, especially today where the internet is a safe way for them to do it, without any real consequences. But that's a rant for a different day. R.I.P. to Eddie's plumber's crack. We will push on once more. Now the Angela Mirror scene is where Angela solidifies herself as a character worth paying attention to. The actress who voiced her did an amazing job here, because in this moment you felt that you need to be scared of this woman. She is not well. Like I said, Angela's a rock star in this game. Finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. The Pyramid boss battle. Let's get to that ass-eating intro to our guy. Wait a minute. Where is it? No. It's not there? It's not there. Instead, we get a boss battle where he moves like a guy who has to take a shit and get to the nearest toilet before he births his beef baby on the floor right in front of James. The fight is set up like you'd expect from any modern video game. Nothing special. I wish I had more to say about it, but it was just meh. This has now set the tone for the rest of the game. We leave the apartments and have another brief and precious moment with Laura, then it's off to Rosewater Park to meet Maria. Now, all of you have already noticed from trailers and such that Maria's clothing is like much of the rest of the game, toned down and void of sexual undertones. Sure, she makes the occasional pass at James, but it never comes off as believable. I'm sure the voice actress did her best, but it feels like she had a hard time expressing these types of emotions. That or the half-hearted flirting is what Konami wanted from her. James is just a dead fish. He shows no emotion in any of the scenes with Maria, or anyone else for that matter. You actually start hating James because he comes off as a dick who can't even be bothered to react to anyone around him. We head to Heaven's Night with Maria, which would have been a really fun experience had James not been such a stick in the mud. Where I, the player, wanted to interact, he had nothing in him. On the way, we stop by the hotel where she attempts to be cute by showing off original Maria's outfit. By the way, huge missed opportunity here. To let her change into that outfit, I'd have squealed like a pig. But no, we can't have anything remotely sexy in this game. Off to a new location for us, the movie theater. We overhear Laura and Eddie having a conversation about what they're watching. It actually seems like they're having a good time when Laura calls Eddie a gutless fatso, just for the sake of doing it. It doesn't fit into the conversation naturally, where Laura has already been established as being sweet and adorable. Now, the old Laura would have spit in his face and insulted his mother. But back to the review. James knocks over something, making noise, startling the both of them before entering the theater, where we see Eddie, but no Laura. We get up close where we see an empty pizza box on one of the seats, and Eddie is fisting a comically supersized tub of strawberry ice cream. James reintroduces himself and makes an off-color comment while moving the empty pizza box about Eddie getting his appetite back. Now, as someone who has struggled with weight loss for a large majority of my life, I can say that I've had these moments where someone will comment on what you're eating and make you feel guilty for eating just because you're overweight. As if being overweight means you shouldn't eat at all. Sure, I wasn't eating a 4-gallon bucket of ice cream with my fingers, but you get the point. Anyways, you can literally see the comment affect Eddie and the look of shame and guilt come across his face. When we meet Eddie in the original, he's in the Bolorama, and our talk is lighthearted ball busting, like two bros shooting the shit. Eddie is happily enjoying his pizza. This one was just sad. But it's at this moment you get a glimpse of the anger behind Eddie's eyes. So this had me hopeful for his future scenes. Off to Brookhaven Hospital to find Laura with Maria now. Maria starts to feel sick, and just like in the original, needs to rest on a bed. That's cool with James because girls are icky and people are stupid, so he's better off alone. We encounter the bubblehead nurses, which have noticeably had breast reductions and are slightly more covered. Making the monsters in this game darker and full of grime seems to be the go-to, as not to have to put in that much detail. We actually had a full-on discussion live on stream, where even the viewers had noticed a severe lack of anything remotely sexualized in the game. I wish I had more to say about the hospital, but I really don't. We finally make it to the roof where we're supposed to run into Pyramid Head again. We get a nice little memory of the old game by the busted fence where Mr. Head had knocked us down before. But no Pyramid Head. That is, until we enter the shed. As we attempt to leave, we come face to face with the man himself, which was the first real jump scare I experienced. Pyramid Head grabs James by the throat and throws him through a floor down an elevator shaft. What's supposed to happen is you're supposed to be on the other side of the locked door where you'd seen Laura. What happened in my game? This. Little things to say. Oh shit, that actually scared me.
Awesome.
You missed it, you were looking at
No,
your
I
phone.
saw it.
Wow, that
Yes.
got me. Is he pissed on me?
Let's do it, Mickey Mouse.
snooping around my shit.
This is my rooftop, bitch.
We'll see, bitch. We'll just see.
He really is wetted.
Imagine if his legs didn't work anymore.
Oh no!
The game is him dragging himself around.
I'm a paraplegic! I'll never find Mary now.
We're in the area now where Laura was. I think.
No, you were there. You looked through that hole.
Did he not throw me? No, I think I'm on the other side of it.
Oh, I don't know. It looks the same to me.
No, yeah, it looks the same.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at he. So would I go back up again?
I don't know.
Wow, we're going to go back up. Here we go again. I'm gonna go back
throw
up.
me out?
I want to be up there with you, Mr. Head.
Right. I leave when I want to leave. You're not the boss of me.
Look, it's locked now. What was the point?
Oh.
What did I even... I didn't get anything.
You should have been up there naked. That would have made this game great.
Right.
If Pyramid Head was naked up there. Oh my god!
What the fuck do I do
See,
now?
like, how awesome would that be if he was naked and James was like, what the hell? And he, like, grabbed him and threw him off the roof? Ah!
Wow. So he
Easter,
threw...
my happy time.
This is my naked hour, bitch.
Yeah.
So he
So I
threw
don't know.
me down the hole.
Yeah, I don't know what you're supposed to do now.
Let's see. Go
I
back
did
to the map.
all that work to get up there and to just have him throw me down?
Let's go back to the map.
I will. Hold on. Where's the hole I fell down?
Above you.
There is no hole above me. There's nothing. Look it. How did I fall down here?
Wow, that's fucking weird.
Imagine if this was a glitch.
That's right. Pyramid Head threw me on the wrong side of the door. Had I not saved constantly, I would have had to start the game over again, because there was no way to get through that door without being thrown onto the right side. I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't record it. Luckily, I reloaded my last save and was able to get thrown on the right side of the door. But damn, that was not cool. We finally run into our sweet darling girl Laura, who locks us in the room where we're supposed to be attacked by the flesh lips. Now, in the original, you're locked in this small, dark room, only to hear this thing moving around in the darkness. In this game, the room is large, pretty well lit, and you only get one flesh lips battle. Granted, it has different stages and a large health pool. The great thing about the original was a sense of dread and panic. This one felt like your average modern-day boss battle. If I wasn't re-watching our playthrough, I'd probably have forgotten about this fight. Most of the hospitals like this, actually. Which is sad, because I really enjoyed this level in the original. Once Flesh Lips is down for good, James is surprised by another Flesh Lips that chokes him out with its dirty feet. Only this leads to a cutscene. In the original, everything starts going blurry, almost like a dream, and you're being rolled down a hallway. We still get the rolling down the hallway, but no dreamlike state. We are now introduced to the other hospital. After this, we go a very long time without anything happening, just running around through the hospital, collecting things and unlocking doors. We eventually find a box with 3 locks on it, like in the original. I spent a lot of time unlocking these locks, so opening it was satisfying, but when I did, there was abso-fucking-lutely nothing in there. Nothing! The thing that bothered me the most about this was that after James sees that there's nothing in there, he doesn't react at all, as per usual. A sheet in the corner of the room falls, revealing a new puzzle, the Lady in the Door puzzle. Oh yeah, she just so happens to have the elevator button in her mouth. Now the developers had us run around every which way to solve this thing, only to have it mean absolutely nothing. The entire point of this puzzle is just a bridge to another puzzle which was lazily thrown behind a sheet that just so happened to fall at the perfect time. This enraged me. This felt like a complete fuck you from the developers to the player, and maybe it was. Maybe this was payback for them having to watch video upon video of people criticizing them before the game even came out. All I can do is speculate on that, but this is how it felt as it was happening. We eventually find one of the rings we need for the lady door, along with Maria. As per usual, James can't muster up a shred of emotion, and this makes him come off so much more selfish and uncaring about any other person than I think he's meant to. But hey, surely Maria will give him the how-to and what for, seeing as though she's been stumbling around in the dark, sick with no flashlight, getting stomped to death by leg beasts. When I say the acting is so bad here, I don't say it lightly. I feel like I could have gotten a better performance out of a 4th grader trying out for the lead in the school play. Maria's lines are delivered without any real emotion or conviction. She's supposed to be pissed, and it comes off like someone had to tell her to go tell James off, but she's so used to him being a dick that it wasn't worth the trouble. Maria attempts to be cute by commenting on how the rain is romantic, and James just gets offended and the conversation is dead on arrival. We get to the part of the game where we have to open the fridge that's fallen on its back. James tries desperately to open it but can't. Maria watches him and begins to emasculate him to his face because he asked her for help. He, of course, has zero reaction to this. In the original game, Maria says it as if to be teasing him in a cute way. In this one, you felt like she was calling him nutless. Maria begrudgingly helps, and what do you know? The fridge door opens and we find the ring for the lady door. Opening the lady door, Maria says something doesn't feel good, and James just tells her to shut the fuck up. He doesn't. But I wish he did, because at least it would have been some emotion on his part. So here it comes. Our encounter with Pyramid Head once more. In this game, you get a cutscene introducing Pyramid Head to the hallway. James sees him and yells at Maria to run. They do. If you look back at Pyramid Head, he's actually sprinting now, which is hilarious to see. Pyramid Head doesn't need to run to catch you, but in this game he felt he needed to show off his stamina. We run to the elevator where the doors begin to shut, leaving Maria struggling to open the door. I guess? Because neither of them seems pretty panicked. No screaming or yelling. They seem like two contestants on Legends of the Hidden Temple that didn't really like each other trying to figure out the last statue puzzle. Maria gets speared, and again, James has no reaction. Now let me tell you why this scene sucked the life out of what it was supposed to represent by bringing you back in time to the original. In the original Silent Hill 2, we don't get a cutscene for Pyramid Head's entrance. He just shows the fuck up, which was terrifying when you first played it. You weren't expecting it, so you weren't prepared. Now you had Maria with you, so it wasn't just your ass you were worried about. Up until this point, Maria and James had a good thing going. Sure, James was still hyper-fixated on his dead wife, but he and Maria had some chemistry. They talked and bantered. You felt something from Maria. She was your companion in this miserable world. When she gets stuck outside the elevator, James is screaming her name, trying to help her, frantically trying to get the doors open. She's terrified and screaming as well, until she gets speared and you only get a shot of her delicate hand sliding back out of the elevator, allowing it to close. James falls to his knees absolutely broken, only to be followed by 7 lonely piano notes emphasizing that you are once again alone. In the new one, you care so little for Maria, not just because of the voice actress's deadpan delivery of her lines, but the fact that James has had no reaction to her. There is no companionship. It was like she just disgusted him and was an annoyance. The new game still decides to play the same piano music, but it has zero emotional effect because you felt nothing. James feels nothing. I don't know how much of this was intentional or if it was just poor writing and voice acting, but as someone who has an obsession with the first Silent Hill 2, this new version doesn't even compare to the emotional beauty that was the first. Back to the review. So we get the hospital key to leave and witness our sweet angel Laura skipping down the now rainy streets of Silent Hill. Now it's time to head back to Rosewater Park. But first, we need to search the area to get some essential items. Keys, wrench, some dirty needles and ammo. After getting the door open that allows us to get to Rosewater Park, we run into the Mandarin, which in the original game was a monster that didn't pose any real threat. In this one it does, which I found to be really cool. It was a surprise to have it reach through the grate and stab James in the nethers. We get to Rosewater Park and I'm met with a cutscene I was not expecting because it just simply doesn't exist in the original. But damn was it good. We meet up with Angela again. The actress who voiced Angela really nailed every emotion that needed to be portrayed. You really feel Angela's pain in this scene. Even if you're a first-time player to the series, you can just tell that she's been hurt by something really bad and that she's experienced things. This is what voice acting should do in a Silent Hill game. It should leave you with questions about what or who this person actually is and why the town called them there. For some reason, James tries to offer to go with Angela, which I found strange because he didn't want Eddie or Maria to come along with him. But hey, I really enjoyed the scene. It just added to Angela's character in a good way. James tries to touch her again, and of course she screams and runs off. You think he'd have learned to respect her personal space by now, but I think it's already been established that James is a dick. We get the key to the Silent Hill Historical Society and we're off again. We enter the Historical Society where James comes face to face with his old friend Pyramid Head, in the form of our favorite painting, Misty Day. He unexcitedly fangirls for a moment as we continue on down the familiar excessively long ramp as we listen to the sounds of horns calling us. I did enjoy that they kept this in. We've now begun the prison. Time to jump down our first big hole. We land in the well where in the original you had to find the one weak spot on the wall. In this one they added a few empty spots in the walls that led to nothing, which I didn't hate. They did decide to keep the bug room puzzle in, which had bloody keys rather than dirty keys, so not much change there. We now can unlock another large hole to jump down. At least true to his form, James has kept his super durable and strong knees. We are in the cafeteria where we meet our sweet boy Eddie. Like Angela, Eddie's voice actor is top-notch. We come up on him having apparently shot a man in the head. For some reason, James seems pretty cool with interrogating a man with a gun who had just been sitting in the dark a few minutes prior, talking to himself about how easy it is to kill a man. But anyways, in this moment, Eddie first tells us that he was snuck up on and attacked. Then it changes to he had to do something because he could tell the guy was going to hurt him based on the way he looked at him. Eddie's voice actor did a great job in making you realize something just isn't right. It gives you that feeling in your whole body to get the hell out of there, but James continues to question him further. Again, very ballsy given the fact that this clearly unhinged dude is waving around his revolver. So when James tells him that he can't kill people just because they look at him funny, you can actually see Eddie's expression correct itself to attempt to play this off as a prank. He yet again uses the line, he was like that when I got here. This scene is definitely an instance in this game where they kept the original concept but elevated it perfectly. James asks if he's going out there alone, and a now confident Eddie says, yeah. No shaking in his voice, no fear. Eddie has now owned his derangement. We leave this cutscene to step out into the actual prison filled with mannequins, lying figures, and nurses. Only now the mannequins crawl on the walls and ceilings and can attack you that way. To me, this area lost the eerie feeling it had in the original. It felt like I was playing The Suffering on PS2. For those of you who haven't played it and can get your hands on one, I highly recommend it. But this didn't really fit here in Silent Hill 2. They kept the monster clopping around sounds in the courtyard, but placed the hangman puzzle from the labyrinth in the original game here. This didn't really bother me, and they made it fit in, so it just was what it was. There are some pretty tense moments in this area, but only because of the threat of monsters. You never really get the sense of dread that came along with the environment of the first one. Again, it feels very modernized and combat heavy. So not much to say about this area. James just makes his way through the prison, unlocking doors and solving small puzzles. We complete the hangman's puzzle and drop down into another large trap door. James makes his way through the morgue and jumps down yet another set of holes. We've now entered the labyrinth. As we make our way down the hallway, we find a newspaper that mentions the murder of what we can safely say is Angela's father. Though in this game, they didn't happen to mention the brother as far as I could find. In the original, it was her father and brother that had been abusing her, and she took them both out. So we continue on to hear Angela yelling, "Daddy, no!" We rush to the room to save Miss Angela, expecting the famous piston room, but to my surprise, it wasn't there. Though I looked around and realized we're in Angela's apartment. I liked this. This was the level of twist that I was hoping for in an updated Silent Hill game. Okay, Silent Hill 2 Remake. Let's see how you handled this one. This scene is pure perfection. Truly the first great scene in the whole game, and it's thanks to our girl, Angela. You walk into her bedroom and she's cowering on the floor with childish things like teddy bears behind her as she begs and tells her daddy she will be good. Like she's stuck in this moment from being a child and she can't get out. That really comes through here. She sees James and pleads with him to tell her daddy she'll be good, only to have daddy attack him. We now are fighting Angela's father, the abstract daddy. I was over the moon happy that they decided to keep the character design from the original. If you are aware of the extent of Angela's abuse, you can figure out why it looks the way it does. Abstract Daddy chases us through the apartment, destroying everything in his path, giving zero fucks, much like what any abuse in the home does to it. It was perfect symbolism, and the designers just nailed this part of the game. I can't say it enough. We beat on Daddy for a few minutes before he bellows out a roar and disappears. As he does, a door opens and we see Angela trying to run and hide. Again, great symbolism. But we have a problem. We didn't kill Daddy. He's still out there. We follow Angela into a hidden closet only to find she isn't there. It's filled with newspapers of her killing her father, as well as a blanket and a teddy bear. It's heartbreaking to imagine the stuff this poor girl has been through. This was a perfect example of how this game took what happens in the original game, expands on it, and elevates it. I have zero negative criticisms about this part of the game. This was chef's kiss. Making our way back through the apartment, we hear bits and pieces of Angela's father yelling at her through a TV playing static. Once it finishes, Daddy Kool-Aid Man bursts through the wall to attack James yet again. James smacks him around a few more times. He roars and disappears again. Daddy likes to play games. We enter another closet, but Angie isn't in there. But this time, we see some torn family photos. Leaving the closet, Daddy bursts through the wall again. Time to beat that ass. Oh wait, he vanished again. Probably could have spaced this one out, Konami. The house starts falling apart more, and our ears are met with the sound of thrusting and squishing sounds. I'll let you think on that one. Followed by Angela running away again, and the sound of her father taunting her. Shit has finally gotten real. I'm totally invested now. We make our way down yet another long hallway, only this one is nightmarish, and there's even an homage to the piston room from the original. James hops over a pipe and into a large room where once more, Daddy bursts through the wall. It's time for Daddy to take James's pipe and see how that feels. We deliver the final blows to put Daddy down and are met with a very satisfying scene where Angela kicks the shit out of him and Hulk smashes his corpse with the television set. We witness how badly Angela has been damaged from the abuse of her father. She doesn't trust James, but it isn't all because he's a man who only wants one thing. She's in Silent Hill for a reason and righteously calls him out on his bullshit. This is the first time James really ever raises his voice at anyone, and yet the expression on his face doesn't match it. Him yelling is like a reset button on Angela, and she leaves us once more to continue to look for her mama. We make our way out of Angela's apartment and down a long hallway to see a huge doorway with what looks like undulating limbs blocking the way. If you get too close, James will start seeing blurry and grab his head. We will deal with that later. James walks a little further and comes to a door. Opening it reveals Maria in a cell. This is the iconic Maria scene I've been waiting for. Surely this had to be good, especially after the amazing Angela portion. Well, if you hadn't guessed already, it's not. In fact, it's so terrible that I felt the cringe all over. Let's take a look at the original.
You're alive! Maria, I thought that thing killed you. Are you hurt bad?
Not at all, silly.
Maria? That thing, it stabbed you. There was blood everywhere.
Stabbed me? What do you mean?
It chased us to the elevator, and then
James, what are you talking about?
just before, don't you remember?
James, honey, did something happen to you? After we got separated in that long hallway? Are you confusing me with someone else? You were always so forgetful. Remember that time in the hotel?
Maria?
You said you took everything, but you forgot that videotape we made. I wonder if it's still there.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
I'm not your Mary.
So, you're Maria?
I am. If you want me to be.
All I want from you is an answer.
It doesn't matter who I am. I'm here for you, James. See? I'm real. Don't you want to touch me?
I don't know.
Come and get me. I can't do anything through these bars.
Okay. Stay right there. I'll be there soon.
Versus the remake.
Maria? Maria! I thought that thing killed you. Are you hurt?
Not at all, silly.
But the thing... It stabbed you. There was blood everywhere.
Stabbed me? What do you mean?
It chased us to the elevator and then...
James, what are you talking about?
Just before. Don't you remember?
James? Honey? Did something happen to you? After we got separated in that long hallway? Are you confusing me with someone else? You were always so forgetful. Remember that time in the hotel?
Maria?
You said you took everything. You forgot that videotape we made. I wonder if it's still there.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
I'm not your Mary.
So you are Maria.
I am. If you want me to be.
All I want from you is an answer.
Doesn't matter who I am. I am here for you, James. See? I'm real. Don't you want to touch me?
I don't know.
Well. If you happen to make up your mind. I'll be waiting.
I'll find some way to... I'll come back, I promise.
Her delivery is so flat, so dead, and so run on that I can't wrap my mind around it. Someone approved this? Somebody heard this and thought, that's it. No need for a second take. Nailed it. She speaks like a cashier at a grocery store that is at the end of a double shift and doesn't want to put up with your bullshit. The "I'm not your Mary" line in particular. In the original, Maria looks you dead in the eyes and sternly says it, almost like it's a warning or a threat. It's at that moment you question if Maria's even human. That was what made this scene so twisted. But no, not this Maria. This Maria is bored. How this was recorded and put out like it was something to be proud of is beyond me. This was an iconic scene for Maria. This was her best scene in the whole game, and they couldn't muster up enough emotion to deliver it. I feel nothing in this scene, just disappointment for how great it could have been. She's been flat this entire time. This would have been her time to shine, but no, we just get more of the same. The flirting and asking if he wants to touch her doesn't come off as believable at all, because up to this point, he's treated her like she's got the cooties, and she's talked to him like Ben Stein doing a commercial for Clear Eyes.
Red eyes, symptoms for which science created clear eyes.
Even if we were to believe this, James doesn't have any sort of reaction to it. Whereas in the original, James was confused about his feelings, but he was gonna make it his life's mission to get in that cell for a conjugal visit. Again, we slump off to figure out more puzzles and shit. As a flaccid James leaves Maria's cell, we are now greeted with the head cube puzzle. Removing it will allow us into various doors into the labyrinth. This was in the previous game, but done a little differently. This was actually a pretty cool way to reintroduce this, and I found this to be enjoyable. We end up coming across a giant bloody sack held up by what looks like a sheet. This seems to be a slight nod to PT, where it juices just like the hanging refrigerator. While finding a way to get this sack down, we come across a lot more mandarins, which again, is very cool that they've actually got a more active part in the game. You can actually even kill these fuckers by shooting their fat meaty hands and watching them fall with satisfaction and pride. We make our way through this place, collecting the lighter wick, and lighter fluid to burn that sack down. Up until this point, there really isn't much to comment on. James is just dealing with more of the same. Monsters, fighting, unlocking doors, and collecting items. We finally drop that meaty, caged-up bag right through the rickety floor, and you guessed it, we go down the hole, bringing us back to the head box puzzle. Time to explore another door. Now, one of the cool things you will notice is every so often you'll see signs that Pyramid Head is lurking about. There will be giant knife gashes in the wall, similar to the ones you'd see in Silent Hill the movie. Eventually, we make our way down a ladder to the flooded level, where we need to get a key for a chain that keeps us from progressing through a barred-off area. Again, there are even more signs of Mr. Head. We're attacked by the spider mannequins, which at this point are more of an annoyance than a threat. We then head to another underground area, where we finally run into our pal Mr. Head, and he's pissed. When you run and enter the room where you could pick up his great knife in the original Silent Hill 2, you will be disappointed to find out that it's no longer there. But you will get a sweet little achievement. This little area was done really well. I enjoy when he just shows up as opposed to introducing him with a cutscene. Back to looking for Maria. We now have bolt cutters to get through a fence that is bathed in red light, only to see another ladder we have to go down, where I was hit with another jump scare. As we turn to go down, Pyramid Head is right there, staring at us in all his glory. Here's a clip of me experience it myself.
Oh, nice.
Snippet.
So perfect. What can't he do?
Math.
Show emotion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's my biggest secret.
Did you see that?
I did. Look up. Yeah. Hey, sexy.
Oh shit,
Oh,
that scared.
shit.
That actually scared me. I thought he was gonna come for me.
Oh!
I thought he was gonna come for me. I was like, oh shit. You see? That was cool. We dropped down another hole leading us back yet again to the head puzzle. Time for another door. Now this area is a little different. James will be locked in various apartments while an alarm goes off until you clear it of all the enemies, which I didn't really care for. It doesn't really fit into what Silent Hill is. These situations are tense, but it's for the obvious reasons. Nothing really scary, just more annoying than anything. But hey, this game makes it clear that it wants to emphasize combat over psychological horror. After going through a few more of these apartment battles, we come to another doorway with flappy flesh limbs that we can't get through, but then to our surprise, we're greeted with our boy Pyramid Head again. I do enjoy how much he's popped up in this. It only makes me hate that they butchered his initial kitchen scene and his ass-eating boss battle. He busts through the wall like the king that he is, and lo and behold, we actually need our guy's help. He's the only thing that makes these flesh limbs retreat. So as long as he's close enough to set them off, but far enough not to hit, we're all good. This was a nice touch. I guess even he thought the flesh tunnel was disgusting, because rather than follow us, he just takes off. We head down the hallway and into room 208 where we find Maria. But she's got a headache and isn't in the mood. Wait. She's actually dead. My bad. Though this version isn't nearly as beaten up and bloodied as the original Maria. I find that odd. This game has removed most, if not all, of the sexual undertones and decided not to make her look more bloodied. So it's cool to beat down a monster nurse and bloody it up with my steel pipe, but it's not cool to make Maria look like she's been run over by a Toyota Tacoma? Okay. James cries? If you can call it that? Have you ever seen someone fake cry? Well, Konami thought it was a cool idea to actually animate that. They couldn't even be bothered to put in tears. He has the fastest ugly cry I've ever seen. They really decided to make James an insufferable piece of shit. Like, I hate this James. Maybe that was intentional. If it was, they did a great job because I want to kick this James in his fucking ball bag. He's the worst. He takes off like nothing happened, and we re-enter the room with the face puzzle in it. But this time, there is no more playing with it, because Pyramid Head destroyed it, leaving his great knife and its remnants. Oh, fuck yes. They gave us the great knife. I didn't think they would, because it wasn't in there, but they did it. Those tricksy bastards. Wait, I can't. You saying I can't keep it? I can't put it in my inventory. What the fuck kind of nonsense is this? You spit in my face again, Konami. This is PT all over again. Well, hey, we don't get to keep it. But now we can slowly and cumbersomely drag his knife through the flesh limb door to get the hell out of here. Onwards and upwards. We enter the mini graveyard, which is in the original, and just like before, we need to jump down our own grave. You know what time it is! Let's party! We go down a long hallway to meet up with our glorious friend Eddie, and his scene is a masterpiece. He's gone full psycho gangster. This scene was done even better than the original. Eddie doesn't just come off as crazy, he comes off as severely unhinged, and you can feel the hate radiating off of him. The voice actor does another phenomenal job here. I love that he, like Angela, finally calls out our prick of a main character James for being a self-righteous piece of shit. He says what we've all been thinking. At this point, I actually wanted to watch Eddie plug James full of lead like he did the corpse. But I have to hand it to whoever decided to have James punch Eddie square in his fucking face, because I wasn't expecting it, and in the moment, it was the funniest fucking thing I'd seen the whole game. From here, Eddie shuffles into the meat locker and we prepare to tango with our sweet darling boy. This fight was very good. I love how the room is dark and all you hear is Eddie stomping around from meaty carcass to meaty carcass, especially when the meat starts shifting on its hooks. It reminds me of the scene from the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's bloody, it's brutal, and it's entertaining. As much as I hated to have to kill Eddie, I thought it was cool that they had James look at his hands after killing another human being, hinting that this isn't his first rodeo if you remember the intro. We leave our pal in the freezer to let him cool off, like a 4-gallon tub of strawberry ice cream. And we make our way across the lake towards our last destination, the Lakeview Hotel. Now, I've talked a lot of shit so far, but this hotel is beautiful. I have to give credit where credit is due. Aesthetically, this game has been amazing. I don't think anyone can argue that it isn't, but the level of detail in this place is just wow. We hear a piano playing in the distance and follow it to find Laura, that sweet little chicken. James actually seems to have lightened up a bit. Perhaps taking human life relaxes him. She finally lets James read the letter that Mary left for her, leaving out the part where Mary wanted to adopt her, which I'm happy about. I always thought it was a little creepy and presumptuous to think that she'd just adopt this kid. She gives us an envelope from Mary to James, but it's empty, prompting her to run off and find it because she believes she lost it. The developers really exceeded my expectations with the hotel. As you progress through the hotel, it'll slowly start to fall apart. Walls will start to crumble, and windows will blow out on their own the closer you get to the truth. After finishing the music box puzzle, we get the 3rd floor key, which will allow us to go to the room we had when we came here with Mary. We enter and are able to finally play our home movies. No, not those kinds, you dirty birdie. This was James's last sweet moment with Mary in Silent Hill. Oh, and the moment he smothered her to death with her Tempur-Pedic pillow. The crazy thing is, the voice actress who did Maria, just like in the original, voices Mary. And she does Mary perfectly. I don't know why it was so hard to get the emotion out from Maria. But as Mary, she is perfect. I have zero gripes about this scene. In fact, I think it's done better. You really feel the last moments of Mary's life with the muffled heartbeat sounds and the flashbacks of her happy face. In walks Laura with the worst timing ever. We have to break the news to this sweet little cherub. Laura's voice actress does an amazing job here, but it seems the developers didn't want to add actual tears to yet another scene for some reason. Maybe tears are hard. Poor little Laura lets out a heartbreaking squeak and runs off. She hates us now, and rightfully so. Pillows go under your head, not over them. Even this kid knows that. Silly James. Now it's time to meet Mary and get our comeuppance. Another very cool detail about this hotel is once you're made aware of the truth, the monsters are weak and helpless. They willingly take whatever beatdown you have ready for them. Just like Mary, they are helpless, and all they can do is play the victim in James's sadistic game. As we make our way through the now completely dilapidated hotel, we eventually come across Angela for what will be the final time. This scene, just like the original, is beautiful and sad. We find that Angela is stuck here in her own personal hell, riddled with guilt over what she'd done to her father and what she perceives she did to her mother by killing her father. I personally don't think this is a fair outcome for poor Angela, who in my eyes has suffered enough. Now that we know the truth about what James did to Mary, he can now see what Angela has seen this whole time. Flames engulf the staircase as she walks up them and further into the fire. We part ways, and it's on we go to our beloved. We come across the 9 save points. Shit is about to hit the fan. We enter the Pyramid Head brothers' torture chamber. Maria is hanging upside down, ready to be spit roasted again. We don't actually get to see one of the Pyramid Heads wind up to stab Maria. Again, it's a strange choice to cut out the violence in a game rated for players 18+. It's just implied by the sound and blood trickling down her face that she was impaled. James has a visceral reaction for the first time in the entire game. Perhaps he's just tired of being a cuck. Well, now that Maria's out of the way, it's time for the threesome that nobody knew they wanted. This fight was epic. Unlike their predecessors, these Pyramid Bros are lethal. They not only will samurai stab you with their spears, but they'll also throw them, which is a fucking amazing mechanic. I can't emphasize enough how much fun and how satisfying this was. After roughhousing for a while, the Pyramid Bros figure they're tired of James and Maria having all the fun. They decide to penetrate themselves, which I'm guessing didn't turn out as much fun as they'd expected. They each hold a scarlet testicle, an egg, in their hands, an egg. We need these to open the nut door. James now walks down a long hallway as he did in the original and has to listen to Mary berate him, as well as shit all over herself. Hey, we've all had bad days. Days where we didn't feel good and just wanted to be left alone. But now we know what drove him to have a one-man pillow party in her hospital room. You can either listen to this whole dialogue or skip it, depending on the ending you're trying to get, just like in the original. James ascends the rainy staircase to finally meet up with Mary in person. The stage is set just like in the original. We get a cutscene where James actually shows some change in his emotions. It's nice to see them hug for a brief moment before it has to end. James is a changed man now. He cares even less about things than he did when he started, and that includes finding Mary. In this game's version, this isn't Silent Hill's version of Mary. They made this Maria, disguising herself as Mary to keep James forever, and she does not take rejection well at all. Maria enters the bed frame surrounded by her trusty nightmare butterflies that will help protect her and attack you. This plays a lot like the original. But wait, there's more. Maria will go from floating around to her second transformation. She now can run and crawl with her metal bed frame legs. She also knocks the floor out from under you, placing you in a new location, a very dark and wet lower level. Now you have to listen for her metal legs running around to find and shoot her while also dodging her angry butterflies. After a few hits, she will scream, causing the ceiling to cave in completely, now making the previous room in lower level 1. So now the room is at least a bit lighter. This bitch is going down one way or another. After a few more hits, she's down, gently calling your name. James excitedly walks over to Maria's weak and helpless body and gets to relive his kill all over again like the true psychopath that he is.
The giant smothers the monster with a pillow.
Wow. Holy fuck. Oh, come on.
That was cool.
That was fucking awesome.
With one shot to the head, you get to watch Maria's face explode in the most brutal and satisfying way. It's over. Well, depending on what ending you get. There are 8 in total. I somehow got the water ending, even though I didn't meet the criteria to get it, which was seriously disappointing. All I could think was this was another glitch. I'm curious if this happened to anyone else who got early access to the game through pre-orders. Here are my final thoughts. Let's talk about the combat. The combat was bad. I didn't fill the review with every time I had an issue, but I will tell you that James didn't react when he needed to. There were times I went to go drink a nutrition drink, and he just didn't take it. I had to go to the menu and manually select it. There were even times when I was desperately smashing the button to change my weapon from one with no ammo to one that had ammo, and almost died in the process because the game just decided it didn't want to let me do it. I had mannequins come back to life after killing them and just stand there, unable to die and reanimate over and over again. I also had enemies glitch across the room and latch on to me. This became very frustrating, but I worked with what I had. I'm assuming these issues will be patched out. It's just sad when you remember the days when you would buy a game and it came working and complete. The good old days. Combat wasn't all bad though. I did enjoy knocking a nurse to her knees and hitting her with a steel pipe like a kid playing t-ball. That was very satisfying. Now we have to touch on the removal of the sexual aspects of the game. I don't see why video game companies shy away from the sex when the game is rated for adults. It's like they claim it's for adults but market it so that it's safe for kids. This isn't right. We had a whole discussion on this. It's okay to beat a female nurse monster to death with a steel pipe, shoot her with a shotgun, but I can't watch Pyramid Head manhandle some mannequins in the kitchen? I can't see him partake in a banquet of booty? Why? Why is violence and gore okay, but anything having to do with sex is removed? They even removed Eddie's ass crack, for God's sakes. I just think if I'm going to buy a game that is rated for an adult, I should get the damn adult material. Especially when it was included in the same game 23 years ago. Let's not go backwards, people. Now let's talk about the story. The story was good. Some parts were extremely better than others. As I've already mentioned a dozen times, Eddie and Angela were the highlights of this game. The story, the voice acting, all of the new content that was added to their characters, it was just amazing. James was terrible, but again, maybe he was intentionally written like that so you didn't feel anything for him. Maria was the worst thing about this entire game. The voice acting was horrendous, and I hate to say it. It ruined so much of Maria's story for me. Where I should have felt something, I didn't. I don't even blame the voice actress. I blame whoever was directing her. I blame the person or people who heard this audio and thought that this was acceptable to put out to its audience. We the consumers spend a lot of money on these games. I personally bought 2 damn copies. One digital to have it early, and the second physical to have for my collection. As I stated in the beginning of this review, I'm a huge Silent Hill fan. If we the consumer just gloss over mediocre shit like this and give glowing reviews where they aren't warranted, companies will continue to push out subpar trash for us to buy. Was this game a masterpiece like everyone is saying? Fuck no. But was it terrible? No. No, it wasn't. What saves this game for me is something I haven't even touched on yet. The memories. No, what do I mean by that? You might be asking. As you enter Silent Hill, you will come across random bodies in the streets. If you look closely, you'll see that they're all James. When we see a memory, it's of an event that's already happened, but this James doesn't remember. Maria feels things as if her brain remembers these traumatic events, but she doesn't know why. She mentions it when she passes her house from Born from a Wish, and right as she's about to go down the hallway where Pyramid Head spears her in the hospital. This game isn't a remake. It's another version of events connected to the first Silent Hill 2. It's implied that everyone is reliving the same series of events over and over again. So if that's the way you look at it, it was a pretty good game. With that being said, I myself would give Silent Hill 2 Remake a 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in the next one.
Nasha!